Hello and welcome to Cupcake Addiction's Halloween jar cupcake tutorial, where I'll be teaming up with one of my all-time favourite channels on YouTube, YoyoMax12, to bring you guys these 3 awesome Halloween cupcake jars. Now Tammy and I have teamed up. I'm going to be making for you the orange jack-o'-lantern and also the green Frankenstein, and Tammy's going to be making the mummy and also giving you guys the recipe for her awesome pumpkin spice cupcakes. I've teamed up with Tammy today and you'll see more from her at the end of this video. I'll also leave links to her in the description box below, but if you haven't checked out her channel, YoyoMax12, I highly recommend you go over and have a look. She has so many amazing things that I know you guys will enjoy. Now, I first saw this idea on a blog called Life Made Simple. I will leave details of that blog in the description box below, and I just knew that I had to share this idea with you guys. It's so simple and so cute. Tools and equipment that we will be using today. I've got 2 spoons. I've got a couple of googly eyes just from the craft store. I've got some black sprinkles and some green sprinkles. I've got some of our perfectly pipeable buttercream frosting. Now I've just taken our regular vanilla frosting and I've separated it. I've added some green food colouring to one half and just mixed it through. And to the other one, because I want it to be a black frosting, and black is a really hard colour to achieve, you can see here I've actually added a little bit of cocoa. So look, there's no exact measurement. I think I added about 1/4 cup of cocoa here to this amount of frosting, which is about 1 cup of frosting. I also added about 1 teaspoon or 2 of water just because it got a little bit dry with the cocoa. And then I added quite a bit of black food colouring. So you add the cocoa in just to start darkening that frosting so you're not relying 100% on food colouring. And whenever you dye something black, it's going to come out looking quite grey to begin with. If you let that sit, preferably overnight, that colour will actually darken with time. So when I first made this, it was not quite as black as it is now. And tomorrow morning when I wake up, I know it's going to be even blacker again. That's just a great tip for getting black buttercream frosting because it's a really hard colour to achieve. I've got a permanent marker, I've got 2 disposable piping bags, and I've just put a star piping tip in the end of both of those. It doesn't matter what size, but a star piping tip is best for these. I've got my 2 jars and I've baked my cupcakes in them. So to bake my cupcakes in my jars, I've just taken some of that awesome pumpkin spice cupcake recipe, I've divided it into bowls, and I've just simply added a little bit of food colouring in orange and in green. I've spooned that into the jars. Try to be careful to keep the sides of the jars relatively clean so that you're not making a mess or anything that's going to burn during the cooking process. And I've filled them about halfway. Now when they've come out of the oven, they're absolutely perfect, but for me, my domes had come up just a little bit out of the jar. That's fine, but I've just pushed them down a little bit so that I've got about 1 centimetre or so gap there, which is going to be exactly what we want for seeing just a little bit of that buttercream frosting coming through the jar. You can use any jars you like for this. Do make sure that they're going to be okay to put in the oven, but generally any jam jars, mason jars, so long as they're not those really fine, delicate candy jars, most jars will go in the oven. All right, so it's time to get into our decorating, and these jars are incredibly simple. So we want to take our first jar. I'm going to do orange first for my jack-o'-lantern, and you're going to take your permanent marker. Now this will wash off, so you can put this through the dishwasher. It might take a couple of times, but you can reuse these jars. With the permanent marker, I'm just going to give our little jack-o'-lantern some eyes. So I'm just going to come down and just paint in some nice little triangles there. Lovely. And then we're going to give him his little nose and his mouth. So for his mouth, you want to sort of give him that gap-toothed smile. And I like to just give either end so that I know which direction I'm heading in. And I always draw the outline first and then come back and fill it in. Perfect. So there's your little jack-o'-lantern face. You can already see how alive he's becoming. Now we're going to do the same, but we're going to use our second jar for our Frankenstein face. So I'm just going to do some little triangles at different lengths. And it's up to you. You can go all the way around the back if you like, otherwise you can just do the front half. All right, so that's probably okay for the purposes of our video today. Now, you want to give him a little nose. So I'm just going to, it's a little bit of a nosy type shape. And then we're just going to give him his stitched mouth. It's up to you if you want to make him look gruesome or if you want him to be smiling. Perfect. And then you want to take your goggly eyes. You can actually buy these already with little stick-on bits on the back. Mine didn't have that, so I've just put a little bit of double-sided tape there. And I'm just going to stick down our 2 little Frankenstein-y googly eyes. Perfect. So there you've got your 2 little jars ready for frosting. So for frosting, we're just going to take one of those large spoons and just spoon a little bit of each colour frosting into a disposable piping bag. Now, you just want to push that frosting all the way down to the end of your bag so that it's just popping out the top. And the same with that black. Make sure there's no air bubbles in there. Beautiful. Now, the black is going to go onto our Frankenstein and the green is going to go onto our pumpkin. So I'm just going to start in the center and I'm just going to do one of our ice cream sundae style swirls, but I'm not going to come up too high with it. So just starting in the center, coming around, make sure that you cover up all that green and just out the top like so. We can finish that one off with a few little black sprinkles. Over to our jack-o'-lantern and exactly the same. So just starting your frosting swirl in the middle, out, making sure you're coming all the way to the edges and taper off into a nice point. If you want a little bit more help with that sort of Sunday style of swirl, I do have a whole tutorial dedicated just to how to make that swirl and how to get it really nice and perfect. We're going to finish that one off with a few sprinkles. So there you've got 2 out of your 3 awesome little Halloween cupcake jars. You've got your Frankenstein and your jack-o'-lantern. Now they're not going to be complete until you have your little mummy jar, so make sure that you head on over to YoyoMax12, check out her tutorial for this awesome mummy jar as well as her recipe for these delicious pumpkin spice cupcakes. Make sure you subscribe to her channel. I know you're going to love the videos that she brings out. I hope that you guys love these jars as much as Tammy and I both did, and as always, thanks for tuning in to My Cupcake Addiction.